Friends, year-end fundraising season is upon us, and this is a prime time for fundraisers to experience burnout, fatigue, and flat-out exhaustion in our work. Between the intensity of year-end giving campaigns, Giving Tuesday, and all of the other commitments you may have in your personal or professional life, we can find ourselves feeling stretched pretty thin. In today's video, I want to share 5 self-care tips to help you make sure that you feel well-resourced, set good boundaries, and ultimately survive and thrive this year-end fundraising season. My name is Vanessa Lockshin, and I'm the president of the Storytelling Nonprofit. Before I started consulting back in 2013, I have to say I had a couple of year-end giving seasons that were pretty chaotic and very stressful. Probably the most notable one was the year before I started consulting. I was working 10-hour days at the organization I was working at, doing all kinds of things, including fundraising, but also helping with some program delivery things that were happening around the season. And it was really, really exhausting. In fact, I remember one weekend in particular where I finally had a day off and I felt just so tired I didn't even want to get out of bed. And it was really difficult for me to think about continuing because it felt like a marathon was still in progress and I was only like maybe a quarter of the way into it. That experience really taught me a lot about pacing myself, setting good boundaries, and really intentionally thinking about how to take care of myself so that I could do my best work during that really important giving season. But here's the thing I want to tell you about all of this. Fundraising, of course, can be tough work, but it shouldn't and does not have to compromise your mental, emotional, or physical well-being. This year, I want you to take a pledge to do things differently and to take care of yourself during this really busy fundraising season. And to help you get started with that, I want to share 5 of my self-care tips for fundraisers to help you survive and thrive in this giving season. So tip number 1 is to schedule some time off now. And I'm not necessarily talking about vacation time, but time when you're planning on not working. This is really important. I think it's easy to get caught in this trap of thinking we need to be available 24/7 during December and during the giving season. But in fact, we need to take time off to rest and recharge and ultimately rejuvenate ourselves so that we can do our best work come the next work week. So maybe it's just about committing to no email from the end of day Friday to when you come back to work on Monday. Maybe it's about making sure you have a full day planned of some fun activities in December so you can spend time with family and friends. Or maybe it's actually scheduling some vacation after the holidays or at the end of the month. Whatever that looks like for you, plan some time on your calendar now and block it off so that you can set expectations with yourself and your organization. Tip number 2, decide your capacity for social engagements. And I know this isn't entirely a work-related tip, but I think it is something that can affect our ability to do our work and feel like we're not totally exhausted during the month of December. We all get lots of invitations to holiday parties, to family events, all kinds of things that are going on in the month of December. And I would encourage you to think now about what is your capacity to show up for some of these things. You may not be able to say yes to everything, but maybe you want to say yes to a handful of things, or maybe even less than a handful, so that you can truly enjoy them and also have some time to yourself to do things that you want to do or just take care of general life things. Tip number 3, practice setting some boundaries now. Boundaries are hard for everyone, and I will be the first to admit that boundary setting is a difficult task for myself sometimes. But this is a really important thing you can do to make sure that you're not overworking and are able to really create space for yourself to do the work that needs to get done, to take time off, to rest, all of these really important things. And you can practice just even setting boundaries with yourself. I think email or even cell phone are a really good example of this. Maybe you decide that you're only going to check your email during work hours for the next week and that you're not going to check email after you've left the office. This is a great boundary that you can set for yourself to practice. You could also set boundaries around when you're available for phone calls outside of work hours. All sorts of things you can practice doing. Whatever that is, whatever that feels important to you, I would encourage you to start doing it now so that it becomes a habit and just something that you do by the time year-end giving rolls around. Tip number 4, and this is definitely related to the last tip, set realistic expectations for yourself and others. This is so important, and whether it's with regards to fundraising goals that you're setting, whether it's regards to your availability, anything like that, it's really important to be realistic with yourself, the people you work with, and maybe even your leadership within your organization. Be realistic about what you can and cannot do so that you can manage people's expectations and even manage up within your organization. Ultimately, this will set everyone up for a better scenario where you're able to do the work that needs to get done and people are satisfied with what's happening. Tip number 5, plan something to look forward to. I know there's tons of things happening in December that feel like obligations and things we have to show up to do. But if there's one thing I would encourage you to do now is to plan something fun that you can look forward to at the end of the busy giving campaign season. This could be something like giving yourself a real day off, maybe to sit on the couch and watch your favorite Netflix shows. Maybe it's going out to lunch with a friend. Maybe it is going on a weekend adventure somewhere. No matter what it is, you don't have to spend a lot of money on it. Just plan some time to do something that you really look forward to do that may be hard for you to prioritize in December. Get it on your calendar now so that you have a reward to look forward to and something that will hopefully help you recharge and take great care of yourself during the month of December. So those are my 5 tips for you. As I said, I think self-care can of course be really challenging, and I think often when we think about self-care, it gets sort of trivialized, or I think just bottom lined into being about like the superficial things that we might do for ourselves. But there really are so many ways to take care of yourself, and a lot of them don't cost a dime to do. So I hope these tips are helpful for you as you think about it. And I would love for you to leave a comment below and let me know if you're going to take this pledge to take good care of yourself during this year-end fundraising season, and maybe 1 or 2 things you're thinking about doing. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up here on YouTube. And if you're interested in getting more fundraising and communications tips every week, be sure to subscribe to my channel using the button in the lower right-hand corner.